Okay, are we ready to go? Okay. Good evening, members of the Homer School District, or residents of the Homer School District. Welcome to the League of Women Voters School Board Candidate Forum. This evening, we are going to hear from 4 school board candidates. 3 of the candidates are incumbents: Sonia Apker, Julie McChesney, Luke Marinas, and a non-incumbent, Emily Olsenwick. Before we start, I'd like to tell you a bit about the League of Women Voters. Very briefly, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. The League works to increase and influence public policy through education and advocacy. Any person 16 years and older may become a League member. Students may join with no fee. They can become members without paying a fee. We welcome anyone out there interested in joining. You can contact the League of Women Voters at lwvcortland@gmail.com. Again, welcome. We're going to start with 2-minute opening statements from the candidates, and then we'll go on to a question session. Candidates will respond for 1 minute, and then at the end, after that, we'll have the candidates make closing statements for 2 minutes. So we're going to go in alphabetical order to begin, and we will start with an opening statement by Sonia Apker. And I'm going to start the timer. Okay, we have 2 minutes. Okay.
Good evening. As introduced, my name is Sonia Apker, and I'm hopeful that you will consider re-electing me for the Homer School Board. My husband Chris and I are the proud parents of 4. We have 3 boys and a girl. Our 2 older sons are Homer alums. Zach will graduate from Homer this year, and Catherine will be a sophomore at the high school next year. I have served on the Homer School Board since 2008 and served on the elementary school site-based team from September 2001 through June 2011. My first introduction to the Homer School District came toward the end of summer 2000, right before our oldest would be heading off to kindergarten. Kindergarten teacher Ingrid Fox showed up at our house to introduce herself. Even though Josh would not be in Mrs. Fox's class, she wanted to make sure that he would have a familiar face at school for his first day. Ingrid spent some time that afternoon sitting on our swing set with Josh and had him quite excited for the start of school. After his first day, Ingrid called the house to speak with Josh, asked him about his day, what he had for lunch, who he sat by, and what his favorite part was. I was enthralled. The love this teacher had for her district. Imagine a teacher going around the neighborhood to introduce herself to students and families, not even students she was going to have on her roster. Then the end of the day, of probably a fairly exhausting day for Ingrid, to reach out to the neighborhood kindergartners as well as all of those on her roster. I was enthralled. It seemed like a no-brainer the next year when Ingrid reached out and asked if I might consider serving on the elementary site-based team. I really wanted to be involved with a district this incredible. As a parent and as an educator myself, I believe that I could contribute in meaningful ways. Professionally, I've worked as a public school special education teacher and a school administrator with the same district for the past 28 years. I believe in the value of public education.
Time.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, next we're going to hear from Julie McChesney. Thank you, Sonia. Julie McChesney.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Julie McChesney. I am a graduate of the Homer School system. We won't talk about when. And I am the proud parent of 3 children. My daughter Isabel is a sophomore in the high school. My son Sean is an 8th grader in the junior high. And my son Zachary is a 3rd grader at Homer Intermediate School. My children have attended Homer their entire lives. I am an educator myself. I work as a speech language pathologist for OCM BOCES, and I believe very strongly in the power of public education. So I'm hoping that you will consider me for re-election. I believe that it's really important to give back to the district that we live in. I have worked as a youth cheerleading coach, throughout the years, and have been involved as a Girl Scout leader. I enjoy working with the children in our community, and I love this district, and I love the town that we all live in. And this district it's really important to me. I believe in our staff. I think we have some really amazing staff at Homer who work so hard every day for our kids. I've been seeing it through distance learning. I believe in our students. I believe in our administrators, and I believe in our community. I think that we use our resources really well here in Homer, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that we do with our children every day.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll hear from Luke Marinas.
Yes, I am Luke, and I thank you for the invitation. It's always rewarding to share ideas about public education and ways that we can make our community better. I have served as a volunteer school board member for the last 9 years, and I'm proud of the good things that Homer has accomplished during that time. Some of our best collective achievements come to mind, such as surviving the governor's gap elimination program, whereby the state took substantial amounts of aids directly away from the district. It was a challenging time, but we were able to maintain our full academic and extracurricular program, and we will now face similar financial uncertainty in the months and years to come. We developed a long-term strategic plan for using the district's reserves, keeping local tax rates in check, while also making sure student programming remained intact. The average tax increase during my tenure has been 1.2%, including 3 consecutive years with 0 increase. I'm proud of that. We face the need for continued budgetary restraints in the upcoming years. And lastly, we were able to successfully deliver an amazing $20 million overhaul of our gymnasium, auditorium, and classroom spaces, which will benefit our students and our community for decades to come. We have a continual need to keep our facilities safe and efficient while also minimizing our level of debt. I'm a professional engineer by day, so my skills are best suited in the financial, strategic planning, and project management arenas. But as a Homer alumnus, parent, and community member, I always put our students first, and I truly believe Homer is a special place. So thanks for having me tonight. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And next we'll hear from Emily Olsenwick. Emily is the non-incumbent.
Yes. Hi. Thank you. Good evening, and thank you all for taking the time to join us tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Emily Olsenwick, and while I grew up in a neighboring town, my husband and I chose to settle our business in Homer 14 years ago. We chose Homer for its notable education reputation and lucrative agricultural industry. Why am I running for the Board of Education? I feel it is important to be a leader in areas you care deeply about. That's why I also serve on the Farm Bureau Board of Directors. For the past 10 years, I worked for the Homer Central School District and had always said that if I didn't work for the district, I would run for the board. Because it's important. It's important for our children to see us put ourselves out there for what we care about. When I worked in the district, my eyes were opened to the expansive support that not only the teachers need, but what our children and parents need. I have firsthand experience working with all stakeholders involved, and I'm thoughtful and compassionate, and I will continue to be an advocate for them. Again, as a small business owner, I do understand how difficult it is to make decisions regarding financial cuts that we're facing in the near future. But I also feel it's important to just keep a good head on your shoulders and do what's best for your community. Thank you.
Okay, well, we finished that in record time.
Highly efficient.
There you go. So we will start the questioning, and I received 3 questions today via email. Here's the first one from Doreen Fagenheim. With the district's strategic plan, there are a series of belief statements. 2 of them are stated as follows. We value feedback from parents, staff, and students to enhance an open mutual communication. We embrace communication and collaborative decision-making to foster a stronger school community. Are you satisfied with the current level of communication and active input from all community stakeholders? What do you think the district is doing well in this area? What would you like to see improved? Okay, we'll start with this time Julie McChesney.
Okay, so thank you for the question. I do think that we've made strides towards better community engagement. I would not say that I am satisfied with the level that we have now. I think that we as on the board have recognized that that's an issue that we would really like to try to improve. And steps have been taken this year. The formation of the Community Engagement Task Force, surveys that have been sent out to parents and staff and students. We have had student focus groups when we talk about the different changes that were coming to the district. So I think that, our superintendent is very aware that this is an area of growth for us and is taking those steps to reach out to community members. I do think that we need to be more proactive in reaching some of the community members that we haven't heard from yet. Not everybody is going to send back a survey if you give it to them. So I do think that we need to be more creative with the ways that we reach people, whether it's through social media. I know social media can be not great, but it can also be used for a lot of good things. So I think we need to get more creative with reaching out to parents. But I do think that we've made some really good first steps through our strategic plan. And I am proud of the work that's been done over the past year to improve that.
Okay, Luke?
Yes, thank you.
If you need me to repeat a question, I'll do that.
No, thank you. I'm excited to answer. As far as community feedback, communication, and collaboration, I think we are doing well, but I will never be satisfied that we're doing enough. From my perspective, the people of this community have been my friends, my family, and my neighbors my entire life. My door is always open. The kitchen table in my house has seen many lively debates. So for the people that are engaged and involved, it's wide open and we do very well. I manage a few social media accounts for some of the athletic teams for Homer, and that's a great way to disseminate information and get feedback from the extracurricular side of things as well. So those are the things that are going well. I do think, as Julie mentioned, we could do a little bit better as far as getting more a bigger cross-section of the community involved, whether it's through public events or more targeted advertisements or the dissemination of information. So yeah, all in all, we do well with the people that are engaged, but I'd like to see more people brought on board to give their opinions.
Okay, next we'll hear from Emily Olsenwick. Emily?
Okay, I will speak, I would say, more so from a parent standpoint. I think, I have 2 children, one in the intermediate and one in the junior high school. And I feel like the communication as far as that is concerned with the school and what is going on with the community could certainly be improved. Whether that's something that a board personally has a lot of control over, I would probably veer more towards it might be difficult. I mean, you have a lot of stakeholders involved that have a lot of input in this. But I do think that we live in a very interesting and diverse community with a lot of resources locally to tap into. We have a lot of colleges nearby. We have a lot of hospitals nearby that would, I would say, provide great opportunities and potentially collaboration with our youth.
Okay, thank you. Sonia?
Yeah, so I'd like to thank Doreen for the question, and I will echo the sentiments that no, I'm not satisfied, but I do respect and appreciate and want to acknowledge the growth. The thing that I'm also quite proud of is I haven't heard anyone say that they're satisfied. I keep seeing people want to dig for more, so that we reach the diversity that Emily has spoken of, that we involve more stakeholders, let people feel like their opinions are not only welcome but valued. I think we have to continue to expand some of the platforms that we try to solicit some of that involvement. Appreciate that not everyone can, meet same times of day or in person. And we certainly have developed a robust technology platform in Homer, so we have some opportunities to expand out and let people communicate and participate via those methods. I'm a fan of Thought Exchange, which is a survey type platform that allows people to participate and rate each other's responses, and it can give you a pretty great sense about the general direction that people are lining up with their thoughts and feelings.
Okay, time. Thank you. Okay, next question. This question comes from Leanne McDonald Rizzo. And she asks, the following decision is presented to the Board of Education. Social workers, one for the elementary and one intermediate school, or continue the existing contract for school resource officers at the elementary and intermediate schools. Which do you vote for and why? Okay, let's start with Luke.
Can you repeat the question one more time just to make sure I get both parts?
Sure. Here's the following decision that was presented to the Board of Education. Social workers, one for the elementary and one intermediate school, or continue the existing contract for school resource officers at the elementary and intermediate schools. Which do you vote for and why?
Okay, thank you. I would need a little bit more information on that. First of all, I would like to know why we can't do both. Being on the Budget and Finance Committee, if both were deemed essential or if both were deemed largely advantageous to our students and our committee, I would work like crazy to find a way to get both of them in there. Choosing one or the other seems to be a bit of a false dichotomy, but if we're going to answer the question, we have seen great results from both social workers and the SROs. I would be very hesitant to remove the SROs as their day-to-day activities include much more than just a law enforcement action. They have also bonded with our students and have been able to provide another level of community connection whereby a lot of problems are solved before they become problems, and the students also have their support.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Emily Olsenwick. Same question.
Yes, thank you. That is an interesting question. I would say never, especially in the times that we're witnessing right now, would I want to have to make that decision. They are both equally important. And I would exhaust all options to figure out how we can keep both positions in the elementary school and the intermediate school. Again, with my time at Homer, I did see how much we as staff members rely on both the social workers as well as the resource officers, not even in, a discipline aspect, not even close to that, on just a day-to-day checking in with kids and seeing how they're doing. This is absolutely not something that I would want to entertain, and I would, like I said, want to exhaust all other options prior to having to eliminate one of those positions. I just don't think we're in a place in society where we can say either or, and I would like to hope that we could make both happen.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll hear from Sonia. Same question. If you'd like me to repeat it, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you. And thank you for the question, Leanne. And as I understand the way the question is phrased, it seems as though your desire is to challenge the candidates to choose either or. And I unfortunately have to line up with Luke and Emily that doesn't seem like a direction I would see myself looking to move in as a board member. I think I would be looking to be creative in finding a way to include those resources. And really, I think we're more in a position where we need to look to increase the resources that currently exist. And, we've had some experience over the years with some creative budgeting, whether it be a shared service, grant writing, tapping into some of the state programs that allow you to institute new initiatives. And I think that's really where we line up as board members in supporting that these are necessary and essential tools and access points for our students and our families. So I couldn't make a decision that one had more value or more positive impact than another.
Thank you. Julie McChesney.
Yeah, I would echo, the comments of Emily and Sonia and Luke. I believe that, I work at BOCES. I work very closely with our social workers. They are absolutely essential. They provide support to our students. They provide support to our families. They provide support to our teachers. It's not a position that I would ever be willing to look at cutting. At the same time, we have an SRO at BOCES, just like at Homer. And she's absolutely essential. As Luke and Emily have mentioned, they're not just there for discipline. They do a lot of community outreach. They work with the families. They really do stop a lot of the problems that we see before they even happen. And in my opinion, both positions are so absolutely essential. And as Sonia mentioned, probably a position that we should look to increase rather than ever seeking to cut. So that's not cutting either of those positions is not a decision I would ever be willing to make.
Okay, thank you. Now, the next question has some acronyms that I will try to define for you and hope that I got the definitions correct. The district has identified social emotional well-being as a strategic initiative over the next few years. What do you consider the district's greatest strengths and greatest weaknesses in supporting our students' social emotional well-being? Please consider these students in your answer: the very young, BIPOC students, that is Black, Indigenous, people of color, LGBTQIA, lesbian, bisexual, gay, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual or allied students, neurodivergent students, and those with disabilities. I believe Neurodivergent refers to variations in the human brain regarding sociability, learning, attention, mood, and other mental functions in a non-pathological sense. So we will start with Emily Olsenwick.
Thank you. So I'm going to reflect back to the previous question as well and say that one of our strengths in Homer is that we have social workers available in each building. And to this question, I would say, I feel like our social workers need even more support because this is becoming a growing concern throughout our district as to how well we're addressing the entire set of acronyms that was mentioned. And again, we're targeting a lot of different age levels. I think our children need more support. So again, to reflect back to the previous question, the thought of cutting a social worker's position without more information would be the last thing that I would ever even consider. Partnering with a lot of our community organizations within Cortland. We have a lot of organizations.
Time.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Sonia?
So I think one of the strengths that I'll highlight is I think we have a faculty and staff that are eager to learn, eager to engage, and eager to include and develop. I think where we have the potential to run into difficulty is people's lack of exposure and experience. So, some of the things that make me proud is watching classrooms move to safe space classrooms where staff have received special training and special certification so that our students have a place they know that they can go and express their concerns and ideas. We have to continue to create opportunities for us to all know one another, learn from one another, versus being subject to stereotypes. Some of the inclusive things that we've done with our special education population has brought about a great change. I can think specifically as I've watched my own children have opportunities to work with autistic students and their knowledge and how far advanced they were in their thinking around special needs as kindergartners versus where I was as even a young adult. So some of that, those activities that we have going on in Homer are things that we should continue to draw.
Thank you. Julie McChesney.
So I believe that we have a couple really powerful strengths. As Sonia mentioned, I think that our teaching staff is amazing. I think they want to include students. I think that they actively go out of their way to do so. I believe that the teachers actively get involved when they hear of situations that are not respectful to the people in the schools. I think that another strength that we have is that we have identified this as something that is very, very important to us. And as a board, we've committed to putting resources towards that education. And we've made it an entire part of our strategic plan initiative moving forward. One area that I think really we could stand to grow in, like Sonia said, not only experience and exposure to people from different groups, but maybe some education around that. I know that for me growing up, I grew up in Fabius and then I moved to Homer when I was in 10th grade. So two very small areas. And when I went to college, that was my first experience with a lot of different groups. So I think if we can educate and give more experience.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Luke Morenas.
Yes, thank you. So as not to repeat all of the fantastic answers that I just heard, I'll be brief. From a board perspective, I am proud that we are fully inclusive and fully supportive of all students through both board policy and practice. I would expect future boards to continue that support, both financially, and through support of the administration and the staff, and to hold the administration to those expectations.
Okay, thank you. Now, we don't have any more questions, so we're going to move on to closing statements, and we're going to go in reverse order. We'll start with Emily, and then go to Luke, Julie, and Sonia. Okay, Emily, the floor is yours.
Okay, I won't need 2 minutes or probably even 1 minute, but again, thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to run for the Board of Education. I believe our most important responsibility is to remember we are all here for our children and to advocate for them, for all of them, not just, one type of learner or another, but all of them. And that we are also role models for our children. It's important to listen to them and to be compassionate and remember what their needs are during this very interesting time. We are in uncharted waters for sure, and I certainly look forward to the opportunity to do what's best for our children. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll go to Luke Marinas.
Yes, again, thank you for the invitation. I'm glad that we can all come together in unusual times like these and continue our important conversations. I'll also keep my closing brief. I have served our community reliably, transparently, and successfully for the last 9 years. And if the voters will have me, I'll probably serve for the next 3. Go Blue.
Wow. You have more time if you'd like to continue. That was under a minute.
Highly efficient.
Oh, thank you.
I'm an engineer.
Okay. I was going to ask what type of engineer, but we'll leave that for another time. Julie McChesney.
All right. Well, I'm a speech pathologist, so I am nowhere near as highly efficient with words as Luke. I tend to go on and on if anybody has ever met me. But I just wanted to say thank you for hosting this. I wanted to say thank you for the questions that have come in. It's really good to get community feedback and engage with the community. I hope that, we've been able to answer the questions, to the satisfaction of the people that sent them in. And, I'm really excited about the direction that our school district is heading in. I'm proud of the strategic plan that we worked on. I'm very involved in the social emotional committee, and I really do believe that social emotional wellness is one of the areas that's of the utmost importance right now in our schools. So I'm really looking forward to working in that area within the school, moving forward in whatever capacity that may be. And I'm really proud of the work that we've done. I've only been on the board for 3 years, but I think it's been a really eventful 3 years, and we've accomplished a lot. And, if the voters would like to vote for me, I would love to continue that for the next 3 years. Thank you.
Okay, that was under 2 minutes as well. You do have 2 minutes. So I can always give you a few extra seconds if you, at the very end, we can come back to you if you have something additional to say. Okay. Sonia?
So I'd also like to echo thank you for the questions, and thank you for our community members that have participated in, and thank you for hosting this event. And I'll close with, so why me? I believe in and value public education. I believe in service and have been honored to work alongside some truly committed fellow board members over the past 12 years, and to have served as board president for several of those years. I believe I work well on a team. I'm student focused. I believe data and desired outcomes need to drive our decision making. And I believe the Board of Education has a responsibility to be transparent, listen to our stakeholders, and be able to articulate a clear vision. I believe it's important that our decisions ensure that Homer is a great place to work and learn.
Well, that was also under a minute. You do have 2 minutes, so, okay. So, actually, I would like to ask a question. In view of the times and the issues we're facing with COVID-19 and financial issues, have you thought about how you're going to go about opening the school, what you're going to do, what are the procedures, what will the cautions be? I'll start with Sonia. Sonia Acker.
Yep, I'm with you. Sorry, I had to unmute. Yes, we've thought about it. We've been creative in our planning towards that end. These are uncharted times and uncharted waters. This is frightening to think about what it's going to look like educationally. How do you transport? How do you bring kids back into the building? How do you keep your staff and your students safe? It's going to take some creative thinking and very thoughtful planning. And I have the confidence that working together and including stakeholders will be moving ourselves in a safe direction. You know, as we turn on the news, the pandemic is one of the issues that we are nervous and concerned about as we look to how to engage our students and keep ourselves safe and informed and active in writing our world.
Thank you. Julie?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's definitely a conversation that has started. One thing that I would caution is that with the virus changing rapidly as it does, the decisions we make today could be wholly inappropriate a week from now. So I really do think that this is something that needs to be watched very carefully. I believe our superintendent is doing that. He updates the board regularly on the planning and the information that they're receiving. And they have started the process of, gathering information from stakeholders. I think a lot of the conversation is going to have to be, how do we keep children safe? My husband is a bus driver, and I know he's shared with me on numerous occasions, how do we keep kids apart on a bus? When we have 2 and 3 kids in a seat, that's going to be a huge part of the conversation, I think, is how we safely get kids to school. Once they're there, how do you tell a student that they can't play with their friends? So those are all things we're going to need to look at.
Thank you. Luke Marinas?
Yes, to echo the other sentiments, when it's safe, we want the students back. I think everyone's been reminded through this whole experience that the students' experience in school extends beyond classroom learning. Those bonds that they make with the community and their teachers and their friends are important, but we want to make sure it's absolutely safe to bring them back in. It will be a collaborative decision with state, local health officials, teachers, administrators, staff, parents, community members. Like everyone has said, it's going to take a big collaboration to figure out the proper time and the proper protocols to make sure everyone is happy and healthy. One other small wrinkle from a financial standpoint, the board and the budget committee this year put together a fairly flexible budget plan where if the New York State budget does drop off the cliff, as some have warned, we do have a plan for using reserves and unallocated fund balance and have some flexibility in the tax cap that we'll do the best we can as a board from the financial aspect to keep things as normal as possible.
Thank you. Well, we've come to the end. I'm sorry, we have not come to the end. And Emily, you're on.
Oh, you almost got lucky.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. So this is a difficult question to answer because each school, elementary school, intermediate school, junior high, high school, they face their own set of challenges. Elementary age children obviously have a different skill set and a different set of needs than high school age children. So I don't think that there's a one size fits all answer here. And I imagine there's going to be a certain amount of trial and error involved working with these new guidelines, especially as the virus keeps changing and whatnot. I would say that this is probably the opportune time to applaud our healthcare personnel and to really look at partnering with any sort of local healthcare possibility that's out there, really, to try to keep our children safe in this. But I would like to also view this as an opportunity to entertain new ideas on the structure of the traditional school setting. You know, as a parent of an intermediate and junior high student, I've been really impressed with how quickly and well their teachers have adapted, and I have no doubt that they will meet this challenge head on and be able to offer our children the same excellent quality education come September.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you, and good luck to all of you. And I would like to remind people that their ballots must be returned by June 9th, so do it well before that. And I also would like to remind you of the League's email address. We can use all the help we can get to work on voter registration and candidate forums. And membership is free to students. So please, people out there, consider joining and work with us to do forums like this again. Thank you all, candidates. This was a very successful forum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Have a good night, everybody.
it.
Good night.
Take care.